Hey everybody, welcome back to Landshark Garage. This episode, our friends at BestArc reached out to us and wanted us to try out their new plasma cutter. And we like playing with new tools, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at this BestArc BTC500DP plasma cutter and see what we think of it. Here we go. All right, so probably a month ago, BestArc reached out to us and asked if we'd be interested in taking a look at this plasma cutter that they have out. So this is the BTC500DP 7th generation plasma cutter that they sell on Amazon, $250. The 500 means it's a 50 amp plasma cutter, which is a pretty good sized plasma cutter. The DP means it's dual power, 110 or 220. And this, like I said, this is the 7th generation. So let's chop this thing open and see what we got. Pretty nice packaging. This is the way you get, I mean, it comes in that box. You can't see it, but it came in a different box. And then this is their retail box, I guess. Haven't had a lot to do with BestArc. I'm by no means a metal guy. I mean, I work with metal. I could do okay with metal, but I'm not a professional in this by any means. In order to properly test this, I told Mrs. Landshark that we needed to install a 220 drop so that we could properly test this, but that way if I ever want to upgrade my welder, I got a 220 drop too. That's a 50 amp 220 drop that I put in, so that's kind of been the delay on getting things going here. Like I said, this is a 110. Well, we'll see when we get into it. Let's get her cut open. And there's people that just love these unboxing videos. So, BestArc unboxing video number 1. And everything's packed kind of nice. That's probably all our accessories. Nice little foam packaging around it. Might be able to use that for something. Oh, compact little unit. Get rid of the box. There. Now, like I said, it's a 220. It's got the proper 220 plug-in on it. Cord, cord's about 6 foot long, I suppose. Let's see, let's open it from the back. There. So it's got built-in regulator. I'll bring you guys in for a closer look when we get done here, but built-in regulator. It's already got the Type M or Type D, depending on Milton is Type M. You know, a lot of auto parts stores Type D also, but it's got a auto draining filter or water trap on it. The air fitting's already built into it. Pull it around to the front. The 7th generation went from gauges to digital up front here. Okay, so let's do that. Got a nice cover over it. This is your air pressure regulator for adjusting your air pressure, and then your gun plugs into there. Let's get into that box and see what we get with that. Right, Jake? Huh? You're excited. You like sparks. Don't even have to cut it open. So it's got an air hose in case you're not using like shop air, because I guess some people cut stainless steel and stuff with these and it takes a little different setup. It's got the 220 to 110 converter, which I might use that first on some of the smaller metal just to see, you know, how it works, because I'm betting a lot of shops this is probably what you're going to use. If you're buying a $250 plasma cutter and you don't have a 220 drop, this is what you're going to use. I've seen this the other way, where it's the 220 plug that goes to a 110 female cord. You know, that cord's not as heavy as this, which I think that's good. When you're dealing with 50 amps, you should have a pretty good cord. So, but yeah, I think we'll do the 110. A test with the 110, and then we'll also do we'll plug the 220 in and see how my outlet works. All right, got a bag here that's got some thread tape, some hose clamps, a few consumables, which is kind of neat. They look like they're just fairly common consumables, so not a big deal. So this is a BestArc plasma cutter. The plasma cutter I currently own isn't. It's one where you kind of drag it. Here's the ground cable. Let's see if we can figure out how long that is by the old, probably 10 foot. I'm betting 10 foot long ground cable. It could have been a little heavier. Not bad though. And then, oh, hey, something that comes with a book. You don't see that very, oh, look at that too. There's a tool for putting the consumables in. That's awesome. Let's see, 7th gen. Like I said, the 7th generation, they just went from an analog gauge here to digital. Yeah. It's got the, excuse me, bud. It's got a chart. Kind of shows you based on what volts you're running, plus how thick your metal is, where you should be when you set that. We'll get it all put together here in a second. Hooking stuff up to these is usually pretty straightforward. Idiot proof, maybe. Maybe that's what we should say. Ground's got a spot for the ground to go in. That's a pretty common hookup for ground. And just kind of turn that in until it's tight. And then the hose itself. So BestArc, after doing my research, means that once you hit this trigger, it starts shooting whether it's on metal or not. Where my other one, you kind of got to drag it onto the metal to get your arc started. This one's got a standoff on it. Keeps it away from the metal. Helps protect your consumables. Doesn't look like it's adjustable up and down, but depending on how you get comfortable with it, you can bend these to make it stay up off the metal. You know, like 1/16 of an inch. That's about where it needs to be. But same thing with this cord. It's probably 12 foot, maybe at least 10. And it's got a air hookup down here. We're just going finger tight with them. And this plug-in's fairly idiot proof, considering the idiot that's running it. And then this red wire is the one that does the BestArc. That's what gives it its voltage. All right, get that in there. Everything's tight. Let's do this. That fairly short cord, I might have to build myself a 220 cord one of these days. Right now I'm just going to use an extension cord on that. If you need to use an extension cord on something like this, make sure you use a good one. You're going to lose voltage, and that can affect your cut. For this demonstration, we're going to move the work to the cutter. All right, so close up of everything. Let's go to the back. There's your cord where your air goes in. You can kind of see that water filter that goes in there. Here's your power. Does not make any noise when it comes on. Wow. Let me grab some air. I take it that's what that E05 code is. I don't have any air hooks for it. So like I said, it comes with the Milton Type M air fitting on the back of it, so if you use something different in your shop, you'll have to change that out, but that is the most common air fitting. This is your amperage. Only goes to 35 because it knows it's on 110, so it'll only go up to 35. You can't turn it any higher, but you can turn it down as low as you want to. We're just gonna like do 20 to start out with. So this is your air pressure, and if you push this button, it goes to what your actual air pressure is when you're cutting. You pull that out and you can adjust that up and down, and then you can go back to what you got it set at. So in here, if you're cutting metric metal, which I'm not, I'm cutting SAE steel, but anyway, if you're cutting metric metal, it tells you kind of where on a 110, if I'm cutting 6mm, I need 40 to 50 psi and at 30 amps. All right, it does say it goes to 40, but it doesn't. It only goes to 35. So for the lighter stuff, it says to be at about 20. So this middle one here, this 4T and 2T, that's your trigger. When you're on 2T, you pull the trigger and hold it, and that's how you cut. On that 4T, you pull the trigger and it locks on, and then you can just pull your handle, and then you got to pull it again to shut it off, which I'll probably leave it on 2T because that's I kind of like to have that control on stuff like that. And then this is PT, that's how many seconds the air runs through your gun afterwards, you know, to cool your consumables and stuff down. And I think they kind of suggest you should be in that 7 or 8 second range. If you were running something different, you know, different kind of gas or something, that might make a big difference. It's kind of personal preference, I think. The PA, it says it's set at 15 seconds. And I'm trying to think of what that was. I'll have to go back and look. Okay, all right, now I got it. So the PT is how long the air comes out, and the PA is how long the pilot arc will stay on after you quit pulling the trigger. Okay, so my guess is I'd want that a lot less than 15 seconds, probably down there. If you were cutting something, expanded steel, something like that, wire mesh, you know, you'd want that to stay on, because then you could keep going. When you're not on metal, it's how long it stays on. That's what the old book said. So anyway, got everything set up. Looks like a good compact unit. So far, everything has been approved. Good. She's a nice unit so far. Let's cut some metal. So what I got over here is 16th inch plate. This is some 1/8 inch plate, quarter on this guy here. And I didn't have anything really bigger than that, but I got this old railroad track, and I I think I'm going to try, I measured this is a half, so this is probably in that 3/8. I might try and make a wedge on here to see how that works, just to see how it cuts. Going to need the 220 there. I'm going to try this one in the 110. I'm going to do both these in the 110, and then we'll switch to 220 and see how that goes. So let me get that set up. All right, so can't seem to find my goggles that I use with my plasma, but I got this. So we're going to try the 16th inch first, set on 50 some PSI, and I'm just going to try and run right down this bad boy just like this and see how that works. Alright, so we're going to turn that PSI up just a little bit and turn the amperage up to 25, see what happens. I cut through that pretty good. Let me see if I can run it along the ruler a little bit. Alright, I'm not having much luck with, I don't know if I'm dragging against the, pretty good arc. Maybe it's because I'm standing on the wrong side. Let's see if that makes a difference. You don't care if you see me. As long as we can see what this guy's doing. Right, Jake? Just using the plasma cutter with the auto darkening helmet takes a little getting used to, but that's a pretty good cut in that 16th. Done a good job. Let's move up to the 1/8 inch stuff. This one I just kind of want to, I'm going to use this to straighten this up so I can store it, because I buy some scrap metal from a guy that does a lot of, has a plasma table, and I don't use a lot of thicker steel. I just needed to have some around, and this is what I got, so I'm just going to kind of dress this up so I can put it in my storage, and then I'll hang on to these small pieces. This is the 1/8 inch. turn that up a little bit. That did pretty good. Most of that fiddle farting around you saw there, that was user error. I'm not real up on the using the pilot art. It's the first time I've ever used one actually. So it takes a little getting used to, but. All right, let's crank this thing up at 110 to 35. And I'm gonna give it a little bit more air. And I want to try this piece of quarter. I want to take just one corner out of it. Like we're making a 1/4 inch gusset. Uh-oh. Sound like a blew a breaker. All right, we had to move a little closer to the plug-in because that 220 cord's a little short, but got it plugged into the 220, and now you can see it'll go all the way up to 50 amps. And we're probably gonna try it at 40 on this piece of quarter. We don't have to do them. That worked at 110. It's going to work at 1/4. I mean, it worked on 110. It's going to work on 220. Yeah, and then we'll cut a piece off here, and we'll see what we can do with that railroad tie. Hopefully, I don't burn my garage down. Get to the thicker stuff. It tells you should run the PSI up a little bit. Don't disagree with that. We're back there. Go like this. And we're going to give this 1/4 inch shot, 1/4 inch piece another shot. See how it goes. Oh yeah, that cuts way nicer at 220. So, let's see if we can do anything with this big dog, rusty old railroad tie. Try and cut the corner off of it here, see what happens. Then I might even try and cut this. Let's do the corner first. Really hard to get a good cut on that. I think that's more operator error than anything by the looks of it. Let me go closer here. Yeah. That had very little problem there. This was more me getting crap hung up in here, not knowing how to run it. Last test, this is 1/2 inch. We're gonna go 50. We're gonna go big, go home. Nice. That's 1/2 inch. I measured it. That's pretty nice. 220. Yep. BestArc BTC500DP. Well worth $250 on Amazon. If you need a plasma cutter, this is the dog you want. It does a good job for the price that you pay for it. Thanks for watching. Never forget, drive your shit. We'll see ya.